We're fed a lie from the moment we are conscious. From Naruto to My Hero Academia, the story is always the same. If you work hard enough, if you scream loud enough, and if your heart is pure, you will surpass the genius. You will become the Hokage. You will become the #1 hero. But what if that's wrong? What if the world isn't a meritocracy? What if it's a lottery? In the philosophy of Friedrich Nietzsche, there's the concept of the Übermensch, the superior man who creates his own values. But what about the rest of us, the last men, the NPCs? Today, we're looking at the most terrifying character in sports anime history. Not because he is a demon or a monster or a villain, but because he is us. He represents the terrifying reality that most of us are not the protagonist of the universe. We're talking about Oikawa Tooru and the suffocating realization of being almost good enough. To understand why this hurts so much, we have to dismantle the favorite bedtime story of the mediocre. We are addicted to the story of the tortoise and the hare. It is our comfort food. We tell ourselves, sure, he is talented, but he is lazy. I will outwork him. I will wake up earlier. I will want it more. That is a comforting lie. It assumes that talent and hard work are opposites. But what happens when the hare doesn't sleep? What happens when the genius has the same work ethic as the underdog? This is the cruelty of the multiplier effect. Think of hard work as addition. Every hour you practice, you add 1 point, +1, +1, +1. But talent is multiplication. Talent is a modifier. You work for 10 hours, you get 10 points. The genius works for 10 hours, he gets 100 points. Look at Usain Bolt. Look at Michael Phelps. Do you think they didn't train? Do you think they were lazy? No, they trained harder than you ever will. And on top of that, they won the genetic lottery. They were born with the perfect lungs, the perfect twitch muscle fibers, the perfect wingspan. When you face a hard-working genius like Kageyama or Ushijima, the math becomes cruel. It isn't that your addition doesn't matter. It's that his multiplication makes your addition look like a rounding error. You can scream, you can bleed, but you cannot outrun a Ferrari on foot. And this is the specific hell Oikawa Tooru lives in. He isn't losing to lazy people, he is losing to people who are just as hungry as him, but who started the race at the finish line.
In Haikyuu, Oikawa is called the Grand King. It sounds like a compliment, but it's a mockery. He was named best setter in junior high. It was a validation, but in reality, it was a taste of excellence that would poison the rest of his life. It convinced him he could touch the stars right before the universe showed him the ceiling. His tragedy is the Salieri Complex. If you've seen the movie Amadeus, you know this pain. Antonio Salieri was a brilliant musician. He was famous. He was respected. But he was cursed with just enough talent to recognize that Mozart was God's voice. Oikawa is trapped between two nightmares. On one side, there is Ushijima. Ushijima is a mountain, a static wall of power that Oikawa cannot move. He is the ceiling. On the other side, there is Kageyama. Kageyama is a flood. He is rising from below, threatening to drown Oikawa in his own territory. He is the replacement.
The tragedy of the Grand King is the fear that all your hard work, all your late nights, all your sacrifices are just the prologue to someone else's story. That you are just the warm-up act for the real genius. This is why he calls Kageyama Tobio-chan. It isn't affection. It is a power play. It is Oikawa trying to treat an apex predator like a house cat, pretending he isn't terrified of the day the kitten learns to bite. Oikawa refuses to accept this, and that refusal twists him. It turns his passion into an obsession. When he almost strikes Kageyama in that flashback, it isn't out of hatred. It is a panic attack. He is trying to physically destroy the evidence of his own inferiority. Oikawa is not a villain. He is something much more tragic. He is a realist who refuses to accept reality. To understand Oikawa's madness, we have to look at his opposite. Let's look at Ping Pong the animation. There is a character named Akuma. He is the captain of his team, a hard worker, a fierce competitor. He is just like Oikawa. He works harder than anyone. He challenges the genius, Peko, and he loses, badly. Akuma realizes the truth. You can't fly if you don't have wings. And what does Akuma do? He quits. He gets a job, finds a girlfriend, and lives a happy, normal life. He accepts he is an NPC, and he finds peace. Oikawa chooses the other path, the path of misery. When Ushijima tells Oikawa, "You chose the wrong soil for your potential," he is technically right. Oikawa should have joined the strongest school. He should have ridden the coattails of the genius. But Oikawa's pride is his curse. He would rather lose as the captain of the ordinary than win as the servant of the genius. He rejects the happy ending of Akuma because to Oikawa, accepting mediocrity is a feat worse than death. If you are the type of person who refuses the happy ending of mediocrity, if you look at the geniuses of the world and still refuse to blink, then you belong here. Subscribe and let's carry that weight together. Now, let's look at the price Oikawa pays for his pride. In sports anime like Kuroko no Basket, the zone is a superpower. The crowd goes silent, the body moves on autopilot, and you move faster than thought. It is pure instinct. That is the flow state. That is the magic every athlete chases. But Oikawa? He doesn't get the silence. When Kageyama sets, his mind is empty. When Oikawa sets, his mind is a war zone. He is calculating vector angles, blocker heights, and spin rates in milliseconds. He creates a synthetic zone. He forces the game to slow down, not by relaxing, but by processing information so violently that it should cause a nosebleed. This is why his famous quote, "Talent is something you make bloom. Instinct is something you polish," is so misunderstood. On the surface, it sounds like a motivational poster. But for Oikawa, it isn't a fact. It is a cope. It is a desperate rationalization. He has to believe that talent can be built, because if it can't, his entire life has been a lie. He is saying, "I will not wait for the magic to happen. I will take my clumsy human brain and I will sharpen it against the stone of this sport until it bleeds. And maybe, just maybe, if I bleed enough, I can kill a god." He replaces magic with data. He proves that if you cannot be a god, you can at least be the god slayer. This culminates in the match against Karasuno, the final set. Look at Oikawa's face in the final rally. It isn't the face of a sportsman, it's the face of a starving animal. He executes the perfect set from outside the court. It is technically flawless. He gives Iwazumi the perfect sword to slay the monster. And it fails. The block happens. The ball drops. The genius wins. The narrative remains intact. The NPC is defeated. In a fair world, Oikawa wins that match. But Haikyuu is not about fairness. It is about reality. And the reality is that sometimes you can do everything right. You can play the perfect game, and you still lose to someone who was simply born better. He is left standing in the ruins of his own perfection. A king without a kingdom.
So, was it all for nothing? Was the torture, the knee injuries, the sacrifice waste? No, it wasn't a waste. There is a philosophical concept by Albert Camus. One must imagine Sisyphus happy. Sisyphus is cursed to roll a boulder up a hill forever, only to watch it roll back down. Oikawa is our Sisyphus. He knows Kageyama will always be the genius. He knows Ushijima is stronger, but he rolls the boulder anyway. And in the end, he finds his answer. Not in high school, but years later, halfway across the world in Argentina. He realizes that if he cannot be the king of this hill, he will find a new mountain. He changes his soil. He plays on the world stage, not as a prodigy, but as a man who survived. Oikawa teaches us that you don't have to be the main character to matter. You don't have to be the best in the world to find meaning. The curse of the ordinary is only a curse if you stop running. If you keep running, even when you know you can't win, that is not mediocrity. That is defiance. And in a world governed by talent and destiny, defiance is the only freedom we have.